Parshas Shmini. The Parsha is actually Vayi Bayom HaShemini. It was on the eighth day. Eighth day of what? It was the eighth day of the inauguration. What was special about the eighth day? It was the last day of the inauguration, and it was the day that the service in the Mishkan, in the tabernacle, was transferred from the conduct of the service was done for the first 7 days by Moshe Rabbeinu, by Moses. Now on the eighth day, it gets transferred. The authority and the obligation gets transferred to the Kohanim, to the priests. Aharon is the Kohen Hagadol. He is the high priest, and he has four sons at the time who act as the Kohanim, and they are Nadav, Avihu, Elazar, and Isamar. Now Nadav and Avihu died at the hands of God in the middle of the inaugural service. They acted inappropriately. There's some discussion about what exactly it was that they did. The Torah says, Bakrivam, Eish Zara, when they brought a fire, they introduced a fire they weren't supposed to. And there's many different opinions. We've discussed this about why they passed away, why they were killed. And then you have Aharon and Banov Hanosarim, his remaining sons, his surviving sons, who are Elazar and Isamar. So they're conducting the service. Now Moshe had commanded them to bring a mincha. And even though normally somebody who is in Aninus, who is on the first day of the tragedy of the death of somebody with whom they are close and for whom they would be obligated to mourn, normally a Kohen doesn't serve in the Beis Hamikdash or in the Mishkan on that day. This was an exception, and the exception was that these were special korbanos. These were special inaugural offerings. The Kohen Gadol does serve in Aninus during this time. The Kohen Hedyot does not. The normal Kohanim does not. This case, however, was an exception, which was because of the inauguration. Moshe told them to go ahead and to serve. So there were three korbanos chatos that called category of sin offering, and they were, each of them had a seirizim, a he-goat, and one of them was the korban of the day. One was the of the inauguration. The other was the inaugural offering by Nachshon ben Aminadav. He was the first prince to bring an offering. And then there was also the Musaf of Rosh Chodesh. So the Torah describes this, and then it gets to a somewhat enigmatic and unusual passage. I'll read just the beginning and the end and fill in the content in the middle. It says here, now we're looking at Perek Yud, beginning with Pasuk Tezayin. That is 10:16. The Torah says, Ve'eseir hachatos darash Moshe. Moshe was looking intensely. Darash. It's a double language for intensity. So he's looking for the seir hachatos, this final goat, and he was surprised. V'inei saraf. It was completely burned. Vayiksof al Elazar va'ali Samar b'nei Aharon hanosarim lemor, and he got angry with Elazar and Isamar. And he said, why didn't you eat the chatos, this korban, bimkom hakodesh, ki kodesh kodeshimi? Why didn't you eat it? You're supposed to eat it. This is, we're going to use a little bit of explanation of Rashi, but the verse says, and Hashem gave this to you, to Bnei Yisrael, to the children of Israel, to atone for their sins. And that's the tradition of the korban, of the musaf of Rosh Chodesh, that it's lechaper, it comes to atone. So part of the process of atonement, it's not simply bringing the korban, it's a korban tzibur, it's a public offering, but part of the kapara is the process of kapara, of atonement, is that the Kohanim eat from this korban. So why is it burned? In other words, you deviated from the instructions. Why? And Moshe got angry. It says Vayiksof Moshe. So, and then he goes on. You didn't sprinkle the blood inside. He's looking for. It could have been, had you done it inappropriately, then you're not supposed to eat it. But there's no symptom. There's no indication that it was done inappropriately. You should have eaten it in the holy place as I commanded. Why didn't you do it? This is big time stuff. This is the mikdash. This is the sanctuary. This is the mishkan. This is the inaugural day. This is when the baton is being passed from Moshe to the Kohanim, and already two of them acted inappropriately and were killed. And now all of a sudden, now they didn't follow the rules. Now the Meforshim say that he really had beef with, if you'll excuse the expression, with Aaron as well, except out of respect for his brother, he directed the comments to Aaron's sons. Now, Aaron responds, Vayidaber, and whenever it says Vayidaber, with some exception, it's a lashon az. It's a strong language, almost chutzpahdik, but it's very strong. Vayidaber Aaron and Moshe. Aaron said to Moshe, wait a second. Hein hayom ikrivos chatasam ve'salasam lifnei Hashem. They brought their karbanos. They brought their offerings. And now, like these happened, meaning, according to the Mefarshim, that we became onanim. We became fresh mourners. And we already did our part as far as those other special karbanos are concerned. Is this appropriate in the eyes of God? What he was saying, according to at least one stream of thought in the Mefarshim and Rashi, is we understand there's Kodshei Shah and there's Kodshei Doros. They're the kinds of karbanos which are one-offs. Inaugural karbanos. They are the offerings that are brought only on the first day. Fine. Those have a special rule, and according to the commentaries, Aaron deduced from the fact that Moshe said that they should eat of the mincha, which normally wouldn't be done by somebody who is in fresh mourning. So he said, okay, I get it. But that's because it's a special offering. But if it's a regular offering, we have been taught, or he deduced, that the command to eat of the offerings was only for the special offerings, but that the regular offering, that is the korban that would continue throughout the generations until Rahman al the destruction of the Beis HaMikdash, and Amir Hashem will be reinstituted when the Beis HaMikdash is rebuilt, may be speedily in our days. Those karbanos, the normal rules apply. And how could we eat from them? We're in Aninus. And what does Moshe respond? Vayishma Moshe vayitav be'inav. Moshe heard, and it was good in his eyes. There's a commentary by it's called the Sefer Hazikaron. Sefer Hazikaron was written by Rav Avram Barkat in the 1500s, and it was only published the first time in the middle of the 1800s. I came about it. I'd never heard of it before. I came about it in looking in the Sefer Sha'arei Aaron today. I found the original printing in HebrewBooks.org, and he says there are 3 categories of disputants. There's somebody who is who so identifies with his opinion and so much wants to be right that even if he hears that he's wrong, he will deny that he's wrong, even though he may know in the back of his head that he was wrong, but he refuses, and he's v'yakchishena. He will deny it, even though he knows it's true. Now, there's another category of somebody who is at least intellectually honest, and when he hears the truth, he recognizes it, and he'll concede, but he'll do so with a heavy heart because it means that he was proved wrong. And so, to him, it's a p'chisas hakavod. It reduces his own self-worth because he was wrong in his assertion, in his svara, in his reasoning, whatever it may be. And then there's a third category, and that is somebody who's happy when he discovers the truth, when he has confidence that what he has heard or what he has said is true, even if what he said was wrong, and then he's corrected, and he hears it, and he's happy. And the Sefer Hazikaron says this is the category of Moshe, because Moshe was Anamikol Adam. He wasn't concerned with whether he appeared to be right or wrong. As a matter of fact, there's a medrash that says that after he accepted Aaron's rationale, which demonstrated that Moshe's anger was misplaced, that Moshe sent around a letter, an announcement saying Aaron was right. Remarkable. The tradition of Moshe is Moshe emes v'saraso emes. Moshe is true. But it's not just Moshe. We're called upon to be truthful both in what we say and in what we think. We are urged to be intellectually honest, even if it means that we have to admit we're wrong. We say this in the morning, in the warm-up, after Birchas HaShachar and before Pesukei Zimra. Lo'olam yehei adam yirei shamayim b'seser v'agolui. Person should always be fearful of heaven, both in private and in public. Sometimes people try to create an impression of being a Yorei Shamayim, God-fearing, but in private, they act differently. That's why, famously, Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai said, on his deathbed, he said, Yehei mor Shamayim aleichem kamor basar v'dam. Halavai, that the fear of heaven should be as real for you as the fear of man. Okay. Umodeh al ha'emes v'dover emes bil vavo. Person should always, that's little olam, should always acknowledge when the truth, meaning implicitly, even when it's different from an opinion that he expressed, and dover emes bil vavo, and even In his mind, he should always be concerned with whether what he's thinking is true. It's not a question of whose side am I on. It's not a question of whether this argument helps my team or doesn't help my team. This is not color war, but we live for the truth. Hashem emes. Hashem elkechem emes. God is true. Toraso emes. Moshe emes. Moshe is true. And we are called upon to be truthful people. Sometimes this is really challenging, especially in today's day. It's very difficult. The spirit of the day is whose team is winning. And the spirit of the true servant of God is, where does the truth lie? That is what I am seeking. Darash Moshe. Moshe was relentless in seeking it out. And then, Vayikra beinav. The end, he was happy. He was happy that he discovered the truth, that he learned that his assertion was wrong, and that Aaron, his brother, was right. Have a good Shabbos.